Okay, this is about to be the weirdest video I'm ever going to post on YouTube. So please buckle up and get ready. I am going to read 2 quotes and I need you to be ready. Okay, so buckle up, get a comfy blanket, get some tea, relax, because we're going down the weirdest road we've ever gone on this channel, and we've been in some weird places. But this is like top tier weirdness. Okay, quote number 1. Ready? I wouldn't need makeup. It's hard to look beautiful when you're staring down millions of people who were ordered to kill you. 5-star General of the Army, Theresa Hartley. What? Next quote. From now on, whatever happens will be 100% Theresa's responsibility. This is a story like none we've ever heard. An 18-year-old girl is single-handedly driving world events. Heaven help us all. President Stinson. Amazing. Now I want to read you a short list of the amazing talents that someone has. What? No, I can't even. This makes no sense. So Theresa's impossible tasks. 1. Escaping from the jet fighter plane. 2. Figuring out what Hal is and how he works. 3. Getting control of Hal. 4. Providing rain. 5. Wait, there's a mysterious space there, but we're not going to question it. 5. Getting the world through the winter with a year's crop totally lost. 6. Keeping ocean levels under control. 7. Preventing the oceans from overheating. 8. Finding a new source of oil. 9. Giving the Israeli 24-hour daylight. 10. Giving the Israelis a way to evacuate Israel in one day. 11. Providing a new home for the Israelis. 12. Taking control of a Boeing 747 and landing it. 13. Liberating the North Koreans. 14. Eliminating the threat of 200 new Hals. Are you just as confused as I am? Welcome. Welcome to Empress Theresa's domain. So, you're probably confused. Don't worry. I was too. Let me explain how we got here. So who is Norman Boutin and why are we talking about him? Our story starts with an author called Norman Boutin. Norman Boutin is a retired self-published author who lives in New England. He released his book Empress Theresa in 2014 and declared it the greatest novel ever written. Ever. The book is, well, here is the book, and here is the other cover of the book, and I want you to bask in the glory of these amazing book covers, the best book ever written on our planet. He posted all over the writing forums talking about his book, and also he advertised his book all throughout the comment sections of book reviews on Amazon and calling it the best book ever written. He's just constantly comparing his book to the literary giants of the world. You name it, he's compared his book to that literary giant, saying that his book is much, much better, than any other book out there. His book is the best. Well, it's time it gets into print. It only took 20 years. Have you ever visited an art museum? Did you notice how you can tell which painting took the artist months to create because of the intricate detail, and which abstract painting probably only took the artist a few minutes to do? Books are like that too. Empress Theresa contains many insights about human nature carefully woven into the plot. How many can you find? This website had 40 page views today, April 6, 2014. That's far more than previously. Apparently the word is getting out about Theresa. I'm waiting for a bulk order of copies, which I'll send out to high schools one at a time. It was obvious right away that this man was delusional or had some sort of mental issue, or both, or all of the above. There's just something going on here with this person. So why are we talking about this now? Well, I looked into this and I found more than I expected. And the most recent videos on this topic are from about 8 years ago. So I was hoping that maybe I could provide some new additional information about this. And I also just have lots of thoughts about this situation. So I felt the need, to talk about this. As soon as I saw a comment in my comment section about Empress Theresa, I was like, it's time. So let's talk about the time capsule that is the website. I want to walk you through the website, okay, because it's just so unhinged. It's unbelievable. So everything that I've been reading so far is from this very strange website that is now no longer available, but you can find using the Wayback Machine and web archives, you can kind of find all of this old information out there. And I want to read some of this just because it's so unhinged. So this is the website for what used to be called EmpressTheresa.com. And this is the homepage. This is the homepage, and this is what it looks like. It's jarring, right? So there's just a lot of weirdness happening here. But let's just start at the top here. And it says Empress Theresa. There's all these quotes from the book as well as like Bible verses on everything. There's random spaces and random colors being thrown around. You never know what font color is going to be used at any given moment, but it says Empress Theresa, I didn't do anything wrong and people want me dead. It's wrong. Why do people do the wrong thing? Asked 18-year-old Theresa on live television before 4 billion viewers after the president of France says 1,000, that's spelled wrong, assassins will be after her. Prime Minister Blair gives a partial answer. People who have no conscience think everybody lacks one. They fear you. Empress Theresa will try to give the full answer. The great men in history understood that they couldn't do it all alone. They needed the invincible ally. How valuable is a book that can get young people to reevaluate themselves and set their lives on the right path? It has infinite value. And so then we have these words that say Empress Theresa is now in a print edition on Amazon, random space. Lots of exclamation points. So what you will hear a lot of is how he thinks his book is infinitely important for young people to read so they can look up to Empress Theresa. There's a lot of that kind of theme happening where he thinks his book is like really perfect for, young people to read. And what I don't understand, what he doesn't get about that, is that his character Theresa is literally like more perfect than perfect, like does saves the world. I believe the plot of Empress Theresa is along the lines of she's about 10 years old and she has some sort of situation with an alien where she gets like these magical powers that create that make her invincible in some type of way. Now, can young people be invincible and be, have alien, specialness happen to them? Probably not. So I don't understand what he means by this is someone for kids to look up to. So scrolling down, there's just something weird. Know thyself, ancient Greek saying, the unexamined life is not worth living, worse than death is the life of a fool. We've got a random Bible quote there. We have a random quote from his book that says, I'm very simple. I follow my conscience. I am what I do. If you think that's easy, try it for one day. It says she said that in the White House, each room full of reporters. Few people have the courage to take an honest look at themselves. Theresa does, and therein lies her strength. Read Empress Theresa and see what she finds. If the soul is only intellect and will, why aren't we all alike? The soul is also personality. The continuance of the actions it does and personality can change. Anyways, what is he trying to say here? There's so much rambling just on the homepage alone. So much so that while I was researching this, I had to stop and put my computer away and not look at screens for the rest of the day. It was giving me such a bad headache. I don't know if it's the colors. I don't know if it's all the weirdness and trying to understand it. I have no idea. I'm going to personally read you the best parts of this website so you don't have to dig through all of this like I did, and you're very welcome, okay? I really want to read this next bit, which says an email message received on September 10th, 2017. It says, hello, Norman. I'm a big fan of your work. I have read Empress Theresa 5 times now, and I'm wondering if you will ever release another book in the near future. And then he has his email address here? Like, was this a real email? Why are we putting it on the homepage of the website? Who is it from? What? I have so many questions. So during, the early years of this being released, there was a lot of, reviews that were being posted on Amazon. And it said somebody wrote this Amazon listing review on June 13th, 2017. This is the single worst book I've ever read. I didn't buy it because you don't deserve money. I downloaded a free version and slogged through the perverse, lewd, disgusting Christian propaganda that is this book. Please just never write anything again, ever. And he put end quote. And so it seems like this is someone's, opinion about the book. And they did download a free version, which, okay, so he's obviously mad about that because he didn't get like any of the money for that. And he puts here, it seems that Amazon allows people a free look at the Kindle edition. This permits people like this cheapskate non-believer to write trash reviews. That stops now. I'm deleting the Kindle edition. And I don't believe they did delete it because it was there were reviews after 2017 on the Kindle edition. They're talking about like the look inside feature on Amazon, which is not what this person did. This person actually pirated the book, it looks like. Then there's like this random rambling where he says in chapter 2, Theresa is a star baseball pitcher in high school. Internet trolls viciously attack her on the internet. A teacher tells Theresa why they do that and she understands. I saw why the trolls were angry. They knew they couldn't go where I was going. I'd have a good life. They wouldn't. So I think that he's comparing himself to Theresa from the story. And it's interesting that he decided to write this scene into his novel because maybe this is something that he either saw coming or he's been trolled before. So is there another book other than, this Theresa book? I don't know. But I'd be interested if anybody else knows, because why they wrote the book, they released it and then they got trolls. But why was this scene in the book? Do you know what I mean? Were they expecting to get trolls or did they have a previous book? There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of talk of internet trolls, and we know from prior videos, and every time I bring up one of these situations and I make a video about it, these people are always like, well, internet trolls, they're all trolling me. All of these videos that I make on this channel, every single individual has complained about internet trolls, or that everyone's lying about them, or that they're the only person telling the truth. Everyone else is lying. And this Norman is not an exception to that. So he does the same exact thing. So he lists out the reviews that he gets and he has a rebuttal for all of them. He's also got, like this weird list that I want to read for you because it's amazing. It says, we'll examine this phenomenon and learn about Empress Theresa at the same time. Why do internet trolls fear and hate Empress Theresa? Decide for yourself. Choose one or several. Theresa is a good girl. Theresa follows her conscience. Theresa believes in God. Theresa is beautiful. Theresa is very intelligent. Theresa has a sense of humor. Theresa has a great personality. Theresa easily attracts boys in college. What? Okay, so I just want to remind everybody that Theresa, at the point that he's talking about this, Theresa was a high school student and then, aged throughout the book. But I just want to say, like, it's really weird to put Theresa easily attracts boys in college. Okay, anyways, continuing. Theresa avoids the common problems of youth, drinking, drugs, bad friends, and so on. Theresa succeeds in her endeavors. Theresa is courageous even to the point of death. Theresa has empathy for others. Theresa puts herself in danger for others. Theresa saves the world. Theresa makes the world a better place. Theresa never harms anyone. Theresa used thousands of times as much energy as the human race has since Adam and Eve. What does that mean? Theresa has more power than all the world's armies combined. Theresa could be a world dictator but leaves everybody alone. Which of these do the internet trolls fear and hate the most? What I don't understand is that he's constantly saying that Theresa is more powerful than all of the armies in the world, but yet she doesn't, hurt anyone. So what's the point of even saying that the person has, all the power in the world? I don't, does Theresa go around threatening everybody saying like, I will, come over there if you don't stop because I have all the power of the world? Like, I don't understand why he's making Theresa out to be such a pacifist, but then in the same breath, like saying that she is literally like the most powerful person in the world. It just, those two are totally, they don't go together. And I'm sorry if you know anything about if you know anything about how the world works and how power works in general, he's making Theresa out to be like not a world leader, but a literal god, But he says Theresa believes in God because obviously Norman believes that, there's only one God. So Theresa can't be a god, but he's literally created a god that he worships in his book. He literally worships Theresa, okay? Internet trolls are not literary critics. They show no evidence of knowing the first thing about literary criticism, which is a disciplined science. Okay, we're gonna just continue. I can't even. So there's a lot of boring quotes here that I'm not gonna read. We're gonna skip all of that. Don't worry. And here's this beautiful, image for you to gaze upon as we continue downward. I feel myself going insane as I look at this website. It's just so, I don't even know. Okay. I also want to read you this part here. Okay, we're on a different year. We're in 2019 now. And this is where he's updated the website at this point. We were just looking at 2017. So every year, English teachers are faced with the problem of finding books suitable for their middle and high school students to read. It's a challenge. The requirements are that a book doesn't have objectionable material such as violence, foul language, racism, sexual scenes, glorification of, abuse such as this, political leanings, and other controversial matters. And yet, random space, it must have situations for intelligent discussion sessions, weird space here. It must be grown up enough so students don't feel like they're being fed a kid story. And with all that is must have a story interesting enough from cover to cover to keep the students involved. Few books can measure up to all these requirements. Empress Theresa does. Period. Space. Period. It's 1,000 ideas tightly packed into 465 pages. You'll wish the book was longer. No, I don't. So just keep in mind, we're looking at something from 2019, and this book was first released in 2014. This has been going on for years at this point. He's been still living in like a really weird delusion. He sees book sales. There are sales happening, and he lists them all out. And he's very, happy about it. He's making money. At this point, he's sold about a little over 500 books since 2014. He continues to put, internet troll reviews on the front page of his website where he puts quote in all caps. He has the review. In this case, it says there are parts throughout the novel where it was complete agony for me because there's nothing going on. And then it says end quote. I have a list of 34 spectacular and riveting events in Empress Theresa. That's an average of one event every 64 pages. How many stories have you read that keep up that frantic pace? So then we continue scrolling. It devolves into absolute nonsense. But I'm trying to find one other piece here. This one. Okay, now look at this. The previous cover image. Theresa looked like a sumo wrestler. Well, how many authors also paint their own coven image? Look at that coven image. So you see this image, this part right here, he did mention in the writing forums about how he wanted to like paint the breasts. Yeah. Okay, so this is an upsetting image, but I want to show you this for a reason. He's got something very strange here. This was on his website back in 2014. He has an image that says, of this individual, we all know this person. I'm not going to even say the name. He's got a mustache here, and then he has this, my next yo-yo trick is really good. And then he has this like yo-yo. Okay, I'm just going to leave that with you to think about, and we're going to move forward. He also has a really weird fascination with Joan of Arc. So if you see here, this was back in 2014, but he does keep this page updated and change a few things. It's all about how Joan of Arc died. He's very fixated on Joan of Arc's death specifically, saying that she passed out from heat stroke before the fire reached her. And he has a very long, in-depth analysis of this and of Joan of Arc and how Joan of Arc died. It's quite graphic. I'm not going to get into all of this, but I do have to say it is a very strange thing to be putting on a website up for your book. So this is on the EmpressTheresa.com website, or at least it was until 2014. Why is he so fixated on this? I just found something online where Norman literally posted his address online, and I'm sure if I found it, someone else found it. So this is just a quick reminder to everybody that you should not be posting, okay, your address online for any reason. There's also a lot of comments on his website where he would put something just like really out of bounds, like really creepy old man kind of stuff. I'm not going to read any of that on YouTube. I don't think it's appropriate for me to do. So we are not going to go down that path. But he did put some just like creepy stuff about, Empress Theresa's figure, what she looks like. Many people have read the book and said that he describes Empress Theresa in a very, sexualized way. It's just weird. And we're not going to get too far into that. Just know that that exists. Okay? Continuing. So in all, he sees himself as an amazing author with an amazing book. He can't seem to understand the reality of the situation. He doesn't understand why people are criticizing his book. To him, it's perfect. It's amazing. His book is amazing. He also mentioned how he's been working on this book for over 20 years. And we see a lot on this channel. So these deeply set delusions that people have, it seems like the longer a person sits in an alternate reality, the more they believe their own lies and delusions. So Norman thinks he is a spectacular author. He really thinks he is. So let's get into the crazy way he interacts with other authors. Now, the writingforums.com has been around since 2002. It's very active to this day. So this is a robust writing community, and Norman walked right in looking to promote his work. Now, this is an odd choice, to choose to promote your work on an online writing forum. I'm not sure what his intention was, to post, bits of his novel and get feedback, or to post, paragraphs from his book and then get praise only. He seemed completely blindsided when he posted, bits of his book and got valid and great feedback. He dismissed all of it, preferring to live in his own wild delusions. So there was a thread here created by Norman, who was user Empress Theresa, called Empress Theresa. It's on Amazon Kindle, all caps. So I put Empress Theresa on Amazon Kindle a couple days ago. Why? To protect the copyright. 2, I've been sending out detailed synopsis and sample chapters to literary agents for some time. I'm sure they're thrilled. So this is all in 2013, by the way. He said, the story is out there. I was afraid some hack writer would throw together a cheap imitation of my storyline in a month and beat me to the market at my own game. Not. Okay, so for anyone who's like a new author or someone who's thinking about this, and I'm someone who writes, but I haven't, published anything, but I will say that if you're so worried about someone taking your ideas, don't be. Don't. I will say that people have ideas that are similar all the time, but it matters who writes them. Your story is going to be your story regardless of the idea or not. So I wouldn't be weird about it. Anybody that's weird about it is someone who is putting the cart before the horse, in my opinion, personally. Next, 3, I have a marketing plan. Theresa is a Catholic. Well, she had to be something, didn't she? Readers will want to know. No, I don't really care what religion most characters are in books, unless it's, exclusive to the book. Like, we need to know for some reason. It's part of the plot or part of the, their character. Most cases, you don't need to know. Catholicism, it says Catholicism is not an issue in the book. No exclusively Catholic ideas are mentioned. Not even the name Jesus is used. When Theresa is being taken to what she believes is her certain death, she thinks about her reasons for believing in God. Her thoughts are equally applicable to blah, 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 blah. And then he just says, it's not a Christian book, distrust. Okay. Empress Theresa is a Catholic priest's dream come true to recommend to young people. So he says it's not a Catholic book, but then he says this. If I had made Theresa a Baptist and changed nothing else in the book, Empress Theresa would be a Baptist minister's dream come true book to recommend to young people. He ends this by saying, there's like a crazy amount of Catholics in the world, which we get, okay? And then I love Terry. Terry's amazing. Terry just says, I wish you best of luck, period. Amazing. And then this person says, as do I. Be advised, though, that your character, from what I have read, contradicts some Catholic doctrine that I know of. You may want to do further research into different religions to find what Theresa's character and story are most applicable to. Also, it would seem that the Catholic element of her is just tagged on, so to speak, especially if it doesn't quite fit her. So whoever Jekko is extraordinary. I'm sorry, but we're going to read more through their feedback. And whoever this person is has some really fantastic, feedback. And let's keep going. Okay, then we have Empress Theresa. This is Norman. Thank you, Terry. He always does these weird little emotes after like everything that he writes. It's so weird. And then he says, Cadence wrote, as do I. And did, all of that, and says, I am totally mystified by your remarks. First of all, no Catholic doctrine is mentioned in the book, other than that there is a God, which applied to most of the world's religions. Okay, so we're just going to scroll down and ignore the rest of that, because it's just a lot of ramblings, and it doesn't really make sense. But Jekko says, sorry, I really can't be bothered to respond to your posts, E.T. I hope you find someone else to explain to you the ins and outs of Catholicism. I mean, that's so funny. And then Norman comes back and says, that's a shame, but I've already found somebody else to explain the ins and outs of Catholicism. He's written 1,304 posts over the last 9 years on the Catholic.com forums, mostly in the philosophy section. And then he links. He argues with the atheists and tears their insane claims apart. He explains things to sincere young people who are confused on some point. He knows everything. He knows everything. He goes by the nickname Empather, eagerness high. That is you. Try harder. Mic drop, Jekko. Mic drop. That is you. He has Okay, so what is going on here is that we have Norman, who is on, the Catholic Answers forums under the nickname Empather. And that is Norman, okay? And Norman is saying that he knows everything. And then Jekko's coming in and saying, that is you. Try harder. It's just so good. It's so good. And so I highly suggest you just get in here and read this thread. It's just hysterical. It's comedy gold. Like, this thread is so funny. We might do, if anybody wants me to do this, I will walk through this whole forum and read it all with different voices. And we can do like a drama of it. I think that would be so funny. And I wonder if anybody wants to record some of these. That would be really funny. Because you just scroll down. Anything is possible when you're an empress. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this man who has had every opportunity to listen and learn, and he just chose over and over again to reject all feedback and to continue to act completely unhinged. So this is just one thread on this website, but I would say, so he's constantly posting things. People are giving him feedback, on pieces of, paragraphs of his story, really giving him good, writerly feedback. And he's just coming back with, my book is amazing, and comparing it to, all the literary giants. And it's just insane. It's also obvious when I was, reading through all of these crazy unhinged posts, is that this wasn't all just on one bad day. It's systematic, it's repeated, and it escalated as time went on. He continued to act so crazy in this forum for a very long time until eventually he was, banned. He had to be, because it was just he was creating nothing but issues and arguing with everybody all the time. And now writers forums can be very, very helpful, but if you're going to put something out there, they're going to give you feedback, because that's what you do in these forums. That's the purpose. That's the reason you help each other, grow and learn and become a better writer. And he just didn't understand the purpose for the forum, I guess. He thought it was just to talk about his book and how great he is, but not receive any feedback. It's so strange. So next, I want to talk about the Amazon reviews. Most of them are negative, as you could expect, with people saying absolutely hilarious things. Really, I need you to give the Amazon reviews a read. They are absolutely hysterical. I'm just going to read one of the most popular reviews of this book for you here, and then you can go find more if you're interested. This amazing review by Professor Q says, "My kingdom for a turkey sandwich. Verified purchase. I'll have you know. Okay. So having heard of this book by word of mouth, charity requires me to avoid being too specific. I was intrigued and decided to give it a try. At this moment, I am kicking myself. Empress Theresa is not a bad book. Neither is it a terrible book, and is one of those things, like 50 Cent's music, that convinces me of the infinite mercy of God. Anything lesser than infinite mercy would have struck down 50 Cent long ago. Bulletproof be hanged, and anything less than infinite mercy would have incinerated this book before it was unleashed on an unsuspecting public." I mean, what? Hilarious. Okay, the basic premise is actually interesting enough. A young girl is possessed, invaded by a mysterious alien entity, and gains superhuman powers as a result. As she grows up, she finds out that she has to use these powers for the good of humanity. But even when she does so, she is often misunderstood. Now, this isn't a very original idea. It could still make for an interesting story in the hands of a good science fiction or fantasy author. Norman Boutin, which is probably a pseudonym for reasons I will make clear later on, sadly is neither. Now, what is weird is I don't think it's a pseudonym. Okay, so for starters, there's, Empress Theresa herself. She's not actually the empress of anything. So if you bought this expecting an alt reality novel, prepare to be disappointed. In fact, if you bought this at all, prepare to be disappointed. The introduction makes it clear what she is and what she will be. In the opening lines, she describes herself as cute as heck, a whiz in school, and having a good disposition. Irrelevant comment. Am I the only one who hears good disposition and thinks of the Donald Duck theme tune? The description of her merging with the alien entity is brief but creepy. A softball-sized white ball went into my stomach. Ugh. As a result of this, she becomes a baseball star, but the boys keep their distance. I was so beautiful, boys were afraid of being put down. She eventually does attract two guys, the sleazy Jack Coster, who 2 times her with a girl named Ginny, a Harry Potter reference perhaps, and Mr. Intense, Theresa's own description, a physics major named Steve Hartley. Steve and Theresa marry at 18 because, again, I'm quoting Theresa, could we go 4 years without doing it? Ugh. Just ugh. And before that, we get to see a little fan service from Theresa to spite Jack the Hack. She dons a little black nothing to show him what he'll be missing, and later uses a figure skater's outfit to seduce Mr. Intense. Much later in the story, when she is the world's most important person, she cannot resist a pot shot at Jack. I wondered what my old BC boyfriend, Jack Coster, is thinking of all of this. Clothing is a recurrent obsession with the author. Besides the outfits described above, we all were treated to descriptions of Theresa's wedding dress, complete with spaghetti shoulder straps and Venice lace. My shoulders and cleavage charmed the crowd. Really? And her flattering Irish green dress. I'll let Theresa describe the latter for you. My green outfit was modest, only 5 inches above my knees, and with not much cleavage, and didn't hide my well-turned figure. All right, my chest and butt were well outlined. Who says that? What real woman or person in this world would say something like that? That is really creepy. The story is creepy. Now it might be more clear to you what I mean by, Norman being creepy, because this is creepy. The whole marrying at 18 for that particular reason is creepy. The whole little black nothing is very weird for someone to describe something, that they're wearing, a young person. Later, her Irish dress is copied by women all over the world. So we're going to skip some of this part of the review and just go to the bottom. Basically, there's some weird stuff that happens, some typos in the book, stuff like that. Lots of, references to God here and there. So there's lots of other, negative reviews as you see here. But there are positive reviews. Now, these are actually mostly joking 5-star reviews, and if you read them, you'll know what I'm talking about. However, there's one that appears to be real, and it's by Robert here. And it says, this is a serious review. Only 2 of the 5-star reviews seem to be serious. Like some other readers, I saw the YouTube documentary on the controversial issues on Down the Rabbit Hole channel. And then they say something really strange. I am a top 1,000 reviewer with 767 reviews and over 3,200 upvotes. If I like a book, that doesn't mean you will, but I stand behind this review as objective within my taste. Not everyone agrees with my reviews. I'm no stranger to controversy and have a huge feud with fans of Mistborn, for example. Now, that's just a really weird thing to put in a review. And that put me down a rabbit hole of researching this particular reviewer for a few hours to understand why they're so strange. But they have a really long review. So you see here they have this first paragraph, and then they have many other paragraphs all about the book. It's a plot. There's a plot summary. It's like really, really long. And then it ends with, I say good job. Let's have a sequel. So I looked into if Robert is a real person, and he does appear to be real. This guy has a very weird blog that I spent a couple hours just reading and going down into a rabbit hole with. Let's just say he has some really creepy interactions with AI that I find both equally fascinating and horrifying. Now, I just want you to know that Norman uses this review of Robert's all over the place. So this was written in 2019. He's super proud of, his review here. Norman also weirdly misspells this dude's name for all eternity everywhere he posts about it. And, this is his best reviewer. This is his #1 reviewer, verified purchase. Norman appears to be still around in New England, where he lives. He erased the EmpressTheresa.com website. He doesn't seem to have any blog, social media, or any other active presence online. And he was also banned from the writing forums. His sister died in 2015. And he used it as fuel to fight back against what he calls internet haters. He appears to be working 12 hours a week as a cashier currently. And there's also a website that says he died in 2015. It appears like the French website blended his sister with him and has his sister's death date as his death date. He appears to be alive though, because I cannot find a legitimate obituary. Now, there is another obituary for someone else with his name, but I don't believe that that's him. Also, I wanted to point out that Norman claims to have 3 degrees. First, a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from the University of Maine, a Bachelor of Science in Nursing from the University of Southern Maine, and then also he claims to be a Doctor of Dental Medicine from Tufts Dental in Boston. He has also claimed to have been a computer programmer for 8 years. He claims to have an IQ of 136. Can anyone find out if he's still alive or if there's any presence of him online? Just put a comment on this video, because I spent hours digging and I just think it's odd, that he deleted his website, deleted everything, and then he was posting online all the time for years, and suddenly he decided to stop. So I thought maybe he died. I don't think he's dead, though. I can't find any evidence of that. So is he alive? He's online somewhere and he's doing something. We just don't know about it. So what does this whole story say? Does it say that long, meandering, pointless text and random colors gives me a migraine? Well, maybe I did find a new trigger for migraines, If you're a writer, maybe it just makes you feel better about releasing your books out into the world. I mean, Norman did it. Norman wrote a book and put it out there into the world. You can do it too, just do it. I have seen some joking comments about that online where people were like, it makes me feel better about my, book. But for me, it makes me think about how authors respond to criticism. It's clear that Norman never wanted any feedback on his book at all. He didn't want to become a better writer because he already thought he was an amazing writer. He thought he was the best writer. He thinks he's the best writer, apparently still today. Why worry about what other people say if you already know everything there is to know? He just thinks he's at the top of his game. This also makes me think about other authors who have released books just to find out that feedback is just too much. The whole World of Guardian situation certainly comes to mind, where an individual thinks that they are, God's gift to humanity, and they are an amazing, amazing young person who can write, an epic novel, just to find out that they're not. So I think that a lot of people have this delusion in their minds. When people actually, read their work, they either have an identity crisis where they start to come to terms with, I might be a bad writer, or maybe I need work, or maybe I need to put in some work before I can just throw a novel, just yeet a novel into the universe. Or they end up like Norman, where they become they completely block it all out, and they believe that they are the God's gift to humanity forever and always. So that's very interesting to me, the psychology of that. So if a writer already thinks that they are amazing, if they have embedded that, delusion so deep into their heads, sometimes they feed their own beliefs as they go, and it's impossible to help them see differently. There's nothing that you can say to Norman to help Norman understand that Norman needs to work on writing, or maybe Norman, this isn't the best book in the world, and there's reasons for that. No, you cannot say that to this author, because the author is not going to understand. There's nothing you can say at all. So if any other information comes out, like weird reviews or anything like that, or if I find out more information about where Norman is, or if there have been other books, I'm suspicious. I think there have been other books that Norman has written and put out there into the world. I don't think this is the only one. So I would love to do some more digging on this. I have done hours, but I'll do a follow-up video if I find any other information, or if anyone knows anything, let me know. You can send me an email at heather@horrorheather.com. So you can do that, and then we can figure out if there's more information. There's more to this story. I think I found out some new things, and I put them in this video, like the positive review on Amazon, I think is a little sus. There's something going on there. I don't think it's fake, but there's just something weird. And also the fact that he might not be alive anymore. So I don't know what's going on. But I thank you so much, for staying until the end of this video. I appreciate you so much more than I could even say, so much more than you know. If you can, please give the subscribe button a little hug for me, and give the like button just a little high five, boop, if you want. And I'll see you next Sunday. Okay, bye.